They say without sad times, you can't fully appreciate the good times. Well, if that's the case, then no one will be as appreciative as South Africa will be today. 1992, knocked out. 1999, knocked out. 2007, knocked out. 2009, knocked out. 2014, knocked out. 2015, knocked out. 2023, knocked out. But now, 2024, South Africa have demolished Afghanistan by 9 wickets after bowling them out for 56. Congratulations to South Africa, commiserations to Afghanistan. South Africa, after 7 failed semi-final attempts, they have finally reached their first World Cup final, and it's been done in emphatic style. The hoodoo is officially over. My name is Munter. This is the Maximum Cricket Podcast, powered by Dominos. On today's show, we break down a famous day in South Africa's cricketing history. We rank the worst of the previous 7 semi-final losses to fully appreciate this semi-final win. We review Afghanistan's fairy tale story. Was this a step too far, or were they just shafted by the schedule? If you think you might enjoy this episode or any of our World Cup shows, we will be back for tomorrow for England versus India. Then hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and enjoy the ride we're trying to take you on.
And Reza Hendricks does the honours. South Africa have conquered the semi-final mountain. South Africa are eventually in a World Cup final.
Oh, that is brilliant. It's a hero maximum. On the ground, down the ground, another hero maximum.
So, quick summary. Afghanistan, they won the toss. They decided to get absolutely rock and rolled by a rampant South Africa for 56. You know it's bad when the day before, or the day of, I should say, there's headlines about one person making about 85% of a total team score in 43. Ollie Robinson, couldn't have been a better bloke. Omazai was the only player to make double figures with a massive 10. Janssen rocked the top order, taking 3 for 16. Rabada and Nokia took 2 apiece, and Shamsi finished it off, taking 3 for 6 of just 1.5 overs. Incredible stuff. Faruqi gave Afghanistan a sniff with his 57th wicket of the T20 World Cup, taking care of de Kock in the second over. After that, it was one-way traffic. Hendricks was 29 red, and Markram finished up on 23 not out as South Africa ran out convincing winners by 9 wickets. We will get to South Africa, but the first question I'd like to get to the bottom of is, what did happen to Afghanistan? There's a few theories out there. Let's start with the pitch. Was it the pitch's fault? Factor, indeed. If it does a lot, goes sideways off the seam or the spit or it spins, it's hard. It's okay. Your up and down bounce is where people start to get a bit funny. When you got balls shooting off a length, shooting low, that's really tough. It's a bad pitch when you've got people doing review shows or reviewing the game or whatever, and they're saying if Afghanistan made 90, they had a real shot. And they're saying that with a straight face. That's not good. That's not what you need for a semi-final. When you've got an attack like South Africa on fire as much as they are, they don't need a lot of help. And when you give them this much help against not the deepest batting lineup, they get a couple early, they're in a real strife. I don't think it probably was a factor. Probably shouldn't have batted on it first, potentially. The other factor is, what do you think it was? It just too hard emotionally for Afghanistan to just get up for another big game? This is like their third big game in 6 days. Massive victory against Australia. A lot of pent-up frustration against that side. And then just the huge emotional game against Bangladesh, the topsy-turvy of it. The acting takes it out of you, apparently. Felt like, making the semi-finals was their mountaintop. It was a massive moment, and they deserved every bit of it. I heard there's a bit of a party, which is fair. But there is other stuff. Like I think the reaction of everyone today sort of puts it in perspective that it's not like it was a big deal getting here, and it sort of potentially made it harder to get up for this game. For perspective, if South Africa had lost, no one's saying that. No one's going, hey, they should be proud of how they've gone. It's what the hell are you doing? Like, this is not the standard for South Africa, so it's a different mindset. South Africa they were not about to let Afghanistan jump the queue. Like they're like, hang on, like we've been here, we've done our time. They were like Shooter McGavin and Happy Gilmore. Like, they didn't want this new upstart Happy Gilmore, sort of everyone loves a fairy tale story, Happy Gilmore. This was Shooter's tour. This is Shooter's tour. That's Shooter's goddamn jacket. And this time, Shooter got away with it. And South Africa absolutely dominated them. And they were like, wait your turn. This is our turn. The other thing thrown around is the schedule. It's a fact that they only played 2 days ago. Sounds like they had a big time. That's probably their own fault. They knew when the semi-final was on there, but that's a factor. They had their flight delayed about 4 or 5 hours, so they were unable to practice apparently on the ground. I don't know why you would bat in that case, so probably not an ideal. India have always known they've got the second game. We've talked about that, but it makes it worse because they played earlier. They've got more of a gap. Would it have changed the result? Probably not. It would have probably made it closer. But it's just another example of this tournament being an absolute shambles. It's just the ICC are as subtle about fixing the schedule as Naib is at feigning an injury. It's not good stuff. Okay, it's very blatant. It's in your face. I know we know all the money stuff, all this sort of carry on. I get it, and I know that's an issue when all the money's coming out of one place. It's a challenge, but just for a little bit of integrity, can they just try and run a tournament properly instead of just going, how do we make the most money? Can we just do things properly? Just once, just a little bit of integrity. That's all we're asking. It's probably all those three. Ultimately, South Africa were just probably a better side, and I think the right team's in the final. We will again get to South Africa, but I'd like to just review Afghanistan's story. It's time for their report card. They played 8 games. They won 5. They lost 3. Huge highlights, beating Australia, beating New Zealand for the first time, qualifying for the semis, like just peak story stuff. Probably, I've seen a few takes floating around that they may be the second best Asian side outside of India. And I don't hate it. We're talking just white ball stuff. It's probably between them and Pakistan. Like, I think it says more about the rest of those sides than it is India. The low lights have to be the semi-final. Unfortunately, as good a story as it was, that was a really, really poor performance. I don't think it's going to define them, but if we are saying what are the lowlights, that just has to be a lowlight, unfortunately. The high performance, there's plenty of those. The 2 openers they were the first and third top run scorers, 281 runs at 35 for Group R's. So Zadran at 29, 231 runs. It was awesome stuff. Bowlers were exceptional. Faruqi, top wicket taker, 17 wickets at 9 with an economy rate of 6. Just a dynamo in that power play. Rashid Khan, 14 poles at 12.8, economy rate of 6. Naveen, economy rate of 6. He took 13 poles at 12. Just one of the best attacks in the world. And these conditions were unplayable at times. Deserved more than 1 wicket in that semi-final. They could have had them 4 or 5 down. You just never know after that. The low performance, not so much low performances, but like they just didn't get any runs outside the openers. And it's not always their fault because the openers are doing so well. But the pressure that they put on those strike rates you can see are a little lower than other teams. That can be because of the pitches, but if you just nick them off early, which South Africa did today, there's a potential that a sort of procession can follow, and that's what happened. But, considering their expectations, I think it was kind of like they're a chance to make that Super 8, but I don't know what the bookies had them at, but I would say it'd be around them and the West Indies were pretty close. Most people had New Zealand in. I did say that Afghanistan would tip New Zealand up, being New Zealand fans, so don't come at me. But not many people had them at the semis. I know there was that Brian Lara stuff. He was just doing his thing. But the bookies would have had them right low. So because of that, like the report, that's an A. It's an A. You can take the semi-final out of it. It was a bonus to be there. I know it was. I mean, it's probably why it's not an A plus. It's an awesome story. Thoroughly deserved their place in the semis. Definitely one of the 4 best sides at the tournament. Just felt like they were a little reliant on the openers, as we said. I think for the next level, they just need to move their own goalposts and not be satisfied with a semi-final. Easy said than done. And I think now, they'll be looking for that next level. But it is time to discuss South Africa, because it is their time. It is their time in their sun. A final upcoming. They've got a good chance, sure. 8 wins in a row. Ironically, this was their easiest victory, and it came when they needed it the most. The only box that wasn't ticked leading into this semi-final was the form of Markram and Hendricks. I know it's only 20-odd, but it's a tough 20-odd. It's not out. That's going to give them some form. That's ticking boxes. The attack is just the best. It's on fire. They don't have one or two bowlers. It's a whole attack, just dominating, spin, pace. Doesn't matter what conditions they will face in that final, they will have an attack for it. And now the monkey is off their back. I think they can just relax now. Potentially, the key for them now is just to refocus and move those goalposts for themselves. That similar to Afghanistan, winning a semi is now the mountaintop. This is uncharted territory. Markram's saying all the right things, saying we have nothing to be scared about, and they don't. They really don't. So I think it's just be like, well, our standards keep going. Don't just be happy to be here. Don't be like New Zealand 2015. Just go for it. And I think whoever it is, they have a really, really good chance of making that, winning that game. Like I said, ticking a lot of boxes. I do think now would be a good time to rehash the 7 times South Africa didn't win their semi-final, just to fully appreciate today's game. I think, I just want to really enjoy this moment, to just go through the heartache that South African fans had to deal with to get to this moment. Because it has, for a while now, it's been hard to name a better duo than South African semi-finals. That is, except the Philly cheesesteak and a Domino's pizza for only $13, obviously. You've got the number 1 sandwich on the planet combining with the gold standard of pizza in the industry and Domino's. Domino's is the Coca-Cola of the pizza industry, the same as the Nike of the running shoe, the McDonald's of the fast food chain, the Adrian Markram of captaining his country. The man's never lost captaining the men's team. He's done the men's team and the 19s team. That team didn't lose a game. They won that tournament, by the way. Could that be a good omen? Let's find out. The point I'm trying to make is Domino's just gets pizzas. So when they bring back the Philly cheesesteak pizza for only $13, you just know it's going to be good, because that's what they do. They are the gold standard. As the great Maui once said, you are welcome. Back to the regular programming. I'm going to rank these 7 games from least painful to most painful as a South African fan. I'm not South African, but I can appreciate a loss when I see one, and there's some good ones coming up. The least painful, 2007. South Africa losing to Australia by 7 wickets. Reason being, this is one of the all-time cricketing sides ever. Arguably the best World Cup side ever. Australia did not lose a game. They smashed everyone. It's just the 3rd World Cup in a row. No one expected South Africa to win. They weren't even close. All out for 150. Easy chase. That's one that you just go, you know what? Sometimes you're just happy to be there, and that was one of those times. Next, I've got the 2009 T20 World Cup semi-final, losing to Pakistan by 7 runs. From now on, all these games are pretty close. Okay, so this is where it gets a little tough. And they had their chances, but in the end, South Africa, they did win the whole tournament. And I think this is at a stage where no one really cared about T20, so I don't think people were like, oh, the big chokers or anything like that just yet. By 2014, though, that's where the 5th ranked one is. They lost to India by 6 wickets, chasing, I want to say, there it is, chasing 172. India, it was a close game. They got in the last over, but I think sometimes when it's like an all-time great, doing all-time great things, you can kind of just put your hands up and go, that's okay. It just wasn't our day. It was a coronation, and that's what it was for Virat Kohli. A classic Kohli chase, 70-odd not out of 44 balls. Classic Kohli stuff. Like I said, just a good player on his day, just too good for us. Last year, this was one of those close games where it sort of seemed close, but not really. They're losing to Australia in the ODI World Cup in India by 3 wickets, defending 212. They did have Australia 193 for 7, so they had a sniff. This isn't like an all-time choke. There's some good ones coming up, but this did feel like their batting lineup didn't turn up because they were doing so well for so long. When it mattered, they did not turn up. So that has to be a cross. But I don't know, it just didn't have the same feel. It was inevitable a little bit, maybe because of the chokers. I don't know. So we've got them in 4th. There's some good ones here. So 1992, the first time, this is where it all began. They lost to England by 18 runs. This is before Duckworth-Lewis. So they did things on run rate and all sorts of carry on. They needed 22 off 7 until it rained, and it changed the score to 21 off 1. That's one of those ones where you're like, we're hard done by, but potentially they probably were not going to win. 22 off 7 is pretty tough. Obviously, they didn't get that chance, so that sucks. And I guess being the first game, no baggage yet, so no like heartache just yet, just annoyance. This is where it gets a little bit niggly as a fan. This is where you start to appreciate today. 2015, South Africa losing to New Zealand by 4 wickets. As a Kiwi fan, this is the greatest day as a fan. I can appreciate as a South African fan not being the same. So I'll try to be respectful. But this was a massive, massive choke by South Africa. Really swept under the rug because it was New Zealand's day. But geez, they had a lot of chances to win that game. So many drop catches, missed run-outs, just a shambles in the field. Some weird stuff going on. And even after that, New Zealand still needed 12 off the last over. Dale Steyn with the ball in hand, one of the all-time greats. I think the year before he defended 7 in a T20. Just a masterclass. Your back Steyn in that instance. It wasn't to be. It was New Zealand's day. It was sort of I guess the only thing that could potentially make you feel good is it was just South Africa. It was just New Zealand's time. Similar to 2019 when New Zealand got fucked over for so many reasons. It was just England's time. Wow, that's how I sleep anyway. And then the number one, 1999, South Africa tying with Australia. The greatest game of cricket, it was called at the time. Chasing 2-13 or 2-14. They needed 9 off the last over. Klusner on fire. Player of the tournament. 8 off the first 2 balls. They need 1 off 4 balls, 1 wicket in hand. For some reason, Alan Donald just forgot how to run. And they had 4 balls to get 1 run. Alan Donald's just trying to hear down he could have got run out the first ball. Next ball, it's just a calamity. It's a big run out, drop bat and stuff. Scores are tied. Australia go through because they're on the higher seeding. That's when the choking tag began, and it stuck for a while. But they are chokers no more, as South Africa are officially in a World Cup final. Enjoy it if you're a fan because you have earned it. Tune in tomorrow to see who they will be playing as we review England and India semi-final, and then we'll see you for the final, South Africa.